This is section 2.7, division of real numbers. When we finish, I want you to be able to divide real numbers, and I also want you to be able to use division to simplify algebraic expressions. So first, let's go over the rules. The rules for division are the exact same they are for multiplication. So if I have a positive number divided by a positive number, my answer is going to be positive. If I have a negative number divided by a negative number, my answer is going to be positive. Positive by a negative is going to give a negative answer, and a negative number divided by a positive number is also going to give me a negative. Now, one thing that's key for you to remember is when we divide numbers, we are really multiplying by the reciprocal. Now, this reciprocal, let's look at some examples. If I have 1/4, the reciprocal of 1/4 is 4 over 1. If I have -8, just to make it easier for me to see, I'm going to put that over 1. The reciprocal of -8 will be -1 over 8. The reciprocal of -2/3 is -3/2. So you're going to keep the sign and you're just going to flip it. 6 over 5, the reciprocal is 5/6. 3, the reciprocal is 1/3. Okay, now we're going to divide some real numbers. Now 10 divided by -2, that's something that you can do. Just automatically know 10 divided by -2, positive divided by a negative, I know it's going to be -5. But it's also the same as multiplying by the reciprocal. So 10 times -1/2, numerator times numerator is equal to -10. Denominator times denominator, it's over 2. -10 divided by 2 gives me -5. Now -39 divided by 4 1/3. I have to be careful here. I have to change this to an improper fraction. So now I have -39 divided by 3 times 4 gives me 12, plus 1 gives me 13. So now I have 13 over 3. So now I'm going to change it to multiplication. So I have -39 times 3 over 13. Now if I'm paying attention, I'm going to notice that I can do some simplifying. And 13 will go into -39, -3 times. 13 was once. Now -3 times +3 gives me a -9. Now sometimes you're going to see problems that have a fraction bar. First thing I would like for you to do is I'd like you to rewrite it. So now we have -1/3 divided by 4. Now I'm going to write it where I'm multiplying by the reciprocal. So I have -1/3 times 1 over 4. And notice each time that I take the reciprocal, I'm taking the reciprocal of the number that is following the division sign. Numerator times numerator gives me -1. Denominator times denominator gives me 12. So my answer is -1/12. Now I have 1 divided by -3/4. So I'm going to rewrite it. 1 divided by -3/4. So now I'm going to write it as multiplication. So I have 1 times -4/3. Numerator times numerator gives me a -4. Denominator times denominator gives me a 3. So I end up with -4/3. Now we have a variable. I have 6t divided by -1/2. 6t divided by -1/2. Multiply by the reciprocal. So I have 6t times -2. If I want to go ahead and put it over 1, I can. Numerator times numerator gives me -12t. and 1 times 1 is just 1. So negative 12t over 1, or more proper answer would be negative 12. 8 divided by 8 over x. So I have 8 times x over 8. Oh, if I'm paying attention, I can do some simplifying. 8 goes into 8 one time, 8 goes into 8 one time. My final solution is x. Now we're going to use the distributive property to simplify. I have 3x minus 8 divided by 4. Now when I rewrite this, I have 3x minus 8 divided by 4. I'm going to go ahead and put this in parentheses because the entire thing is divided by 4. Before, our fraction bar acted as our grouping symbol, but since I've removed my fraction bar, I have to make sure that I remember that it's grouped. So now I have 3x minus 8 times 1/4, and I'm just going to distribute. So 1/4 times 3x is going to give me 3/4 x. 1/4 times negative 8 is going to give me negative 8/4. I'm going to simplify. So I have 3/4 x minus 2. Now I have 9 minus 27x divided by negative 3. I'm going to rewrite. So I have 9 minus 27x. Make sure I make a note that it's grouped. Divided by negative 3. So I have 9 minus 27x times negative 1/3. And now I'm going to distribute. Negative 1/3 times 9 is going to give me negative 9 over 3. Negative 1/3 times negative 27 is going to give me, negative 27x is going to give me a positive 27x over 3. Negative 9 divided by 3 gives me a negative 3. 27 divided by 3 gives me 9. Then I still have my x. Now if I want to make sure I write it in my form just right, I'm going to have 9x minus 3. Okay, now we're going to evaluate when a is equal to negative 2 and b is equal to negative 3. So I have negative 2 times a over, or divided by, a plus b. So I have negative 2 times negative 2 divided by negative 2 plus negative 3. Negative times a negative gives me a positive, so I have positive 4. Signs are the same, negative 2 plus negative 3. I'm going to add and keep the sign over negative 5. So I could write it as 4 over negative 5, or I'd like for you to get in the habit of writing it as negative 4/5. Okay, next I have a squared minus 4 divided by b. Now remember, we're letting a equal negative 2 and b equal negative 3. So I have negative 2 squared minus 4 over negative 3. Negative 2 squared, that means I have negative 2 times negative 2. So I have 4 minus 4 over negative 3, which gives me 0 over negative 3. 0 divided by Negative 3 will give me 0. Okay, so once again, remember, a is equal to negative 2, b is equal to negative 3. So now I have negative 2 divided by 3 plus b, which is negative 3. So I have negative 2, positive, take a small number, 3 minus 3, that just gives me 0. Thing you really need to remember, any number divided by 0 is always undefined. You can never divide by 0.